I'm here at the RNC in Washington, D.C. Right now I'm with RNC Spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany, and I'm here to discuss a few topics that are trending right now. So thank you for your time. And right now the midterms have just started in Texas. So how do you think the midterms are going to be for this year?
Well, we're excited and we're optimistic, and we know that it's hard after the first midterm after a new presidency. It's difficult. That's what history tells us. But as our chairwoman said this morning, we want to defy history. And we look at Texas, we had 500,000 more voters turn out than Democrats. Ted Cruz had double the voters that his Democratic competitor had. Likewise, Governor Abbott, he had more voters than both Democratic contenders combined. So Texas shows that Republicans are energized, we're ready to turn out, and we're ready to win this November.
Is there anywhere in the country, Senate or House, that the RNC is concerned about losing a seat to the Democrats?
Well, look, we don't take anything for granted. So all across the country, every single state, we are putting our all in these races. You know, Newt Gingrich during our winter meeting said to us, play in every seat. Don't take anything for granted. Turn out in every state, turn out in every district. And that's what the Republican Party's doing. We have a ground game that's unparalleled. We're raising more than double our Democratic competitors because there's so much energy behind our party. So we're not taking anything for granted, even the safest of seats.
Is there anywhere the RNC is focusing on? Any states, districts?
Yeah, well, in addition to focusing on all of them, I'd say the main ones are there are 10 states where President Trump won, and there's a Democratic senator defending his seat. So those 10 seats, you look at Joe Manchin in West Virginia, Joe Donnelly, Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, all of those, John Tester in Montana, those 10 states specifically for the Senate we're looking at. But as I said, be aware, Democrats, we're playing for every seat.
So who is the RNC, who have they endorsed in?
So we don't play in primaries. So basically what we do, unlike our Democratic counterpart at the DNC, they rig elections, and the DCCC, they tend to meddle in races as they did in Texas and try to beat down certain candidates and prop up others. Unlike that, we at the Republican Party, we believe in democracy. We believe in empowering the people. So we don't endorse in primaries. We're ready, willing, and able as soon as someone wins the primary to come in and to be there to defend them.
So how do you think President Trump has been doing over, his administration? What would you grade him in letters?
An A+++, and all the pluses you could add beyond that, because you look and he had historic tax cuts that we haven't seen in decades. He did that with just 11 months in office. It was incredible achievement. You look at regulations, he's rescinded 22 for every one. He came in saying, I'll rescind 2 for every one. Now he's rescinding 22 for every one. You look at our circuit court judges, and he has appointed and confirmed a record rate there. Neil Gorsuch, a lifetime of conservative voting or conservative judiciary thought on the Supreme Court. He is achieving at rates we haven't seen since Reagan. And don't take it from me, take it from Heritage Foundation. They said he's exceeding Ronald Reagan's pace.
So, the Congress has disagreed, Republican Congress has disagreed with President Trump. Do you think it's good to have, not like a yes man, do you think it's good for, maybe the Congress relationship with the executive? Do you think it is good for that?
Well, look, we think it's good to have a wide array of thought out there in our party. We have a diversity of voices, and we love that and applaud that. Like on tariffs, for instance, Speaker Ryan has voiced his disagreement with the Trump tariffs, and that's healthy debate around the issues. What we don't like to see are a very small handful, I'd say about 5 senators and congressmen who are the so-called never-Trump Republicans, a very small group of people who are just out there to stop the Trump agenda. We don't like that. We don't encourage that. We encourage everyone to support the president. But disagreement on the issues, that's okay.
What would you say to voters out there that maybe are Democrats, in blue states? What would you say to them to why they should vote Republican this year?
Because do you want a party that gives you more of your money? Do you want a party that empowers the American people, that says, we believe if we take money from the federal government and give it back to the people, they'll reinvest and make this country the greatest on earth? That's what the Republican Party did with tax cuts, and that's what we hope all Americans realize when they show up to vote in November.
What is your favorite thing President Trump has done over his, almost, year and a half?
Well, there's so many, but if I had to pick, I would say appointing and confirming Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. You know, as someone who went to Harvard Law School myself, I care deeply about the law, and I realize the impact that that has for a lifetime when it comes to pro-life issues, when it comes to religious freedom, when it comes to batting down the federal government's attempt to usurp power from the states. This is a lifetime of decision-making on the Supreme Court. And that is more meaningful than anything President has done, is getting Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court.
Now, this is a question I really wanted to ask just because I was curious. What do you think about Nancy Pelosi's, idea to protect the border and mow the grass?
Oh, gosh, Nancy Pelosi. She has some pretty interesting thoughts. She's Nutty Nancy, as I like to call her. She thinks that our solution to the immigration problem is mowing the grass. That, to me, it's insulting. It's insulting to the mother I sat across from who cried her eyes out telling me about how her son was killed by an illegal immigrant who crossed the border twice and shouldn't have been in this country and had multiple felonies. It's an insult to her for Nancy Pelosi to make a nutty comment like all you have to do is mow the grass. It's a real insult to American citizens who have been victims of illegal immigration.
So what would you and most of the RNC like to see with immigration?
Well, what we want to see, it's very clear. President Trump's been clear. We want a border wall. We want to end chain migration. We want to end the visa lottery system. And then finally, we will give a permanent fix to DACA, 1.8 million illegal immigrants who can stay in the country. This is a proposal that 64% of the country supports, according to the Harvard-Harris poll. And it's one Democrats won't get on board with because they just want to obstruct, and they don't seem to care about DACA recipients.
The deadline for DACA was yesterday, March 5th. So do you think Congress can still get anything done? Because if I understand correctly, Congress can't get anything done after that deadline. Am I correct? Or
well, Congress can get something done, but they won't get something done. And here's why. When I talked about how important those judges were, you have one judge, actually two, I think one's in New York and one in California, that struck down President Trump's ability to end DACA. DACA is unconstitutional. We know that. President Obama said it was unconstitutional 22 times before he did it. But you have one judge that basically took the power away from President Trump to rescind DACA. Other judges have decided otherwise, and it will eventually go to the Supreme Court. But because judges are covering for Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, these liberal judges are stopping these DACA recipients from getting a permanent fix and basically making it to a point where Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi don't have to act because they have cover from two members of the judiciary.
So, last question. Our country is obviously very polarized right now, and what do you think young people my age can do to help unite it?
Well, one of the things you can do is what you do all across the country, talking to so many people and energizing our party, asking the tough questions, getting the Republican message out there, and not giving up. It doesn't matter how young you are. I started working in politics when I was just in high school for the Bush-Cheney campaign, so it's never too young to start, and just stay motivated, and we need young people like you to step up and ask the good questions and to volunteer for campaigns across the country.
Well, what I'm doing, I report neutrally, but how do you think we can come together and, not Republican or Democrat, how do you think we can be, right in the middle?
Well, I think we can come together by coming closer to President Trump. He's offered pragmatic solutions on immigration. He offered a pragmatic solution giving more than just DACA recipients legalization or a path to legalization. He gave more than double of what the Democrats asked for. He came to the middle with an infrastructure plan. On the gun debate, he's come to the middle and said, I'm okay with raising the age to 21. He's increasingly been pragmatic and said, I'm not going to lose sight of my principles, but I'll come to the middle. So it's time for Democrats to drop the partisanship and come to him.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Phoenix with PhoenixRisingInAmerica.com, and this is our country.